One of our most primal, potent and prevailing emotions as a species is fear. In the modern world it is often seen as a hindrance, as many of us are lucky enough to live lives relatively free of danger. As a result, it's all too easy to forget how critical fear is to survival in the wild and how fundamental it is to the success of any race. Fear can be fascinating, especially when we actively go out of our ways to provoke it. Not all, but many people enjoy horror games and movies, such as the recent release Alien Isolation that you are currently seeing on screen. But why is it that we choose to scare ourselves? For some it may very well be the rush of adrenaline that comes from our primal terrors, but for others it will be the sense of accomplishment. After all, it always feels great to beat a game or watch a film that others may be too scared to even try. So we have our reasons for wanting to fear, but what is it exactly that taps into our deepest anxieties? A classic example would be the fear of the dark, but this really is just an extension of our greater fear of the unknown. Some of the best horror movies and games will tease the threat of danger without actually showing it outright. If we are able to perceive a threat, we can find a way of tackling it. However, without perception, we are helpless. Although a fear of the unknown can be an extremely effective element to incorporate into a horror experience, there does still need to be a genuine threat. We often assume that tension will be followed by relief, but when that ability to take a safe breath is taken away, things can be very traumatic. The beauty of H.R. Giger's design for the alien or xenomorph is that it can terrify you when it's right in front of you, just as much as when it's lurking in the shadows. Although the alien's design is fairly disturbing all the way through, the lack of any eyes is a subtle but genius touch. When we connect with others, we often look each other in the eye. When there are no eyes to meet, we can feel deeply unsettled. Speaking primarily about horror games now, the ability or lack thereof to defend ourselves makes a huge difference. After all, if you can just gun down enemies with a flurry of bullets, you're never in any real danger. However, when you have a single revolver with only a few bullets left, the threat suddenly becomes real. You can't overwhelm the threat because it's too strong, and you can't outrun it because it's too fast. All you can do is hide. There's also the feeling of claustrophobia that affects many of us to different degrees. Claustrophobia occurs when we find ourselves in small spaces, which provokes feelings of being trapped. Combine the narrow corridors of a derelict space station with the uninhabitable expanse of space just outside, and feelings of being trapped are going to arise very quickly. Alien Isolation is one of the best examples of horror refined, but there are still perhaps a few areas for improvement, which is where my final question comes in. What would make the perfect horror game? What elements do you believe would make an experience that only the truly fearless could complete? Let me know in the comments below. As always people, thanks very much for watching, and see you next time.